Park off the far right, and you hike across this little dirt road. It's about a 4.5-mile walk each way, but you can come out here and walk right up to the edge of the ocean entry. This is actually the first time they've allowed hiking like that. Now everybody always used to sneak out anyways, but now they're allowing it because this road was just put in. So it's supposed to be an emergency access road, and the geologists told the county that it was the worst idea they'd ever heard for them to build a road down here. But the county, of course, did it anyways. And they spent $12 million building this road. And less than 9 months after it was completed, the lava came down the hill and destroyed it. Oh, turns out the geologists knew what they were talking about. So you'll see there's just a 1-mile chunk of the road that's missing now. But it does provide a nice hiking trail. And if you look down below us, actually where the steam is coming out on the far right, you can see some lava there. The wave will hit the edge of the rock or the lava and it creates a lot of steam, so it can be a bit obscured, but you can definitely see some of the lava there. This is how new land is created and how black sand is created. All the beaches down here are brand new, and that's what's causing the discoloration in the water.
I can see it right over there.
Yeah, isn't that wild? This little lower shelf of land, that's brand new. Several acres have been added on just over the last few months. Another great view of Mauna Loa in the background to our left. They say it's going to erupt within the next year or so. I'm hoping not towards my house. I live on the sides of that volcano. This is one of my favorite sites on the entire island. Yeah, isn't it gorgeous? I mean, it's certainly not palm trees and sandy beaches, but it's how Hawaii began.
Water has to be so hot where the lava hits it. Any idea how far out it goes before it gets back to a normal temperature?
It actually dissipates really quickly, but the temperature that they've been measuring right there is between about 104 and 110, so very hot bathtub water. But that does dissipate really quick. Now, the problem is the flying rock. When the lava hits the ocean, it explodes. That's what forms the cinder and the black sand. But that means there's chunks of rock flying through the air down there. So that's one of the reasons they don't want anybody in or around. They'll let you come up to the edge, you know, about maybe a little less than a quarter of a mile away to see it, but they don't want anyone too close to it. From here, you can really just see the scale of this site. Can you imagine living there? This in your backyard? At night, they see the glow, and they feel earthquakes, sometimes every day.
Why would they want to live there?
Beats me. They like to live on the edge, I guess. I mean, those houses were destroyed, and then they came back and rebuilt them. Some of them have been destroyed more than once. They're very persistent.
Does the insurance cover that?
No way. Volcano insurance is hysterical. It doesn't cover lava flows.
Kind of like people living on the Gulf Coast in hurricanes.
Yep, exactly. Actually, this community that was here at the Royal Gardens, all that's left are these patches of trees, and you'll see a road that used to cut right through here. Yeah, it's starting to be grown over, but you can see it on both sides. That's all that's left. And they would rebuild here, but they can't because of all these active lava tubes. They do say that once it stops, a lot of them are going to return, though. The last house was covered back in 2012, and it was lived in until the day it was covered. So for 29 years, the gentleman who owned it lived out here. They got a lot of attention, as you might imagine. So he actually turned his house into a bed and breakfast. So to get out here, you had to fly a helicopter, you had to charter. So we would fly you out, drop you off, come back at you in the morning, fly you back out. And it was booked all the time. I went out there a couple of times just to drop people off, and I was like, I'm not staying. You could sometimes see lava flows from his patio going down the hill. I know, right? How could you sleep? I'd be standing on the back patio all night looking uphill. His name was Jack Thompson. He actually got to watch his house be destroyed. He called the morning to the company and said, hey, someone's got to come out now. So they cleared the schedule and they flew out. And they had just enough time to throw some boxes in the back of the helicopter and have a cup of coffee on Jack's patio. So there's all these pictures of Jack with his coffee cup on the patio and the lava flow in the background. And then the pilot flew him around for about an hour so Jack could watch as his house was covered by lava. Actually, Anthony Bourdain came out just a few months before it was destroyed and did an episode of No Reservations and stayed there. I have a friend who works for the state in a division that deals with like land and everything, and I said, how is it that you guys allow people to live in these areas and rebuild? And he said, well, if you don't let them rebuild or you try to restrict access to their old property, he said you can't charge them property taxes. So they will not tell you it's off limits. They'll let you go out there even if there's an eruption going on, which I just thought was so hysterical. But you do still own that land, and you do still put property taxes on it, even if it's completely cut off. Yeah. Now they reassess the land. I heard that property taxes down in Kalapana are about $20 an acre. So, not too bad. You guys looking for some cheap Hawaiian property? Get you some great deals down here. But you can see the rainforest just starts to grow back right on top. Another great view of Mauna Kea in the distance. We're actually going to start flying up north so we can go on the real low slopes of Mauna Kea. Because that's such an older volcano and there's not been an eruption there in quite a long time, there's been a lot of erosion up north. So that's where all the rivers are. Rivers and waterfalls. So it's going to take us just a few minutes, but we are going to go see if we can't find a few waterfalls for us to check out.
Yay!
Yeah, you can't come over to Hilo and not see a few waterfalls. We have to have something to show for all the rain we get. 2 weeks ago, we got 23 inches of rain in a 48-hour period. Yeah.
Did neighborhoods get flooded?
Oh yeah, all the time. Luckily here though, there's not a lot of topsoil, so flooding is not too catastrophic. Whereas on some of the older islands where there's been more erosion, you get huge mudslides. But here there's just not a whole lot of dirt. So we get a lot of water pooling, but not usually any of the big mudslides. There's a big park along the bayfront in downtown Hilo. It was under 2 feet of water.
So where do you live?
Actually, we're passed right by my neighborhood. So when I decided we were going to buy a house out here, my husband goes to the state and gets all of the recent lava flow maps. And he spent like 2 months going, no, we can't live here, we can't live here. So he picks this like spot where he says, there was not going to be any eruption. We signed the papers. 3 weeks later, they announced that Mauna Loa is waking up. So I just laughed and laughed. I thought it was so funny. I was like, we live on an active volcano. Come on, it could happen. But really, they say